Welcome to the GCN Tech Show.
This week, we're discussing Paris Olympics bikes. Which is the most expensive?
Plus, a new TT bike from Pinarello. Cav's got some new shoes, Transcontinental tech, and much more. Plus, the bike vault and comments of the week.
Let's do it. Right, straight into our main talking point this week, Connor. We're talking, what is the most expensive track bike in the Paris Olympics?
Yeah, so the Olympics are upon us. They've snuck up pretty quickly in the end. And the bikes the nations are using are getting more and more sophisticated as every Olympic cycle progresses.
Yeah, and more expensive too.
Yeah.
But there is a UCI rule that's being sort of enforced, which is every bike and piece of equipment that the riders use has to be commercially available, which means if your pockets are deep enough, you can go to the shops and buy it.
You can. And we're going to go and have a look at some of the options that are out there. We're going to start with the cheaper options, work our way up to the more expensive. We're not going to go through every nation, though, because there's a lot of nations out there. We'd be here all day. But let's get into it.
Yeah, starting with Look, who sponsor the French National Federation. And they have their new, well, relatively new track frame that is the P24. I'm guessing that stands for Paris 2024.
Oh, yeah, good deduction, Ollie.
Yeah. So the P24 Look frame set can be yours for £11,999, roughly similar in euros and dollars.
Just shy of 12 grand.
Yeah, and for that, you're just getting the frame set. You don't get handlebars, you don't get wheels, you don't get a chain set. So, you know, if you want a custom cockpit on there, which most of them do use, that's going to be at least £5,000, isn't it? And then some wheels and stuff, it adds up pretty quick.
Does add up, but I mean, for just shy of 12 grand, that's actually relatively cheap by Olympic bike standards, which is mad.
That is bonkers, yes.
Especially when you compare it to what's coming up.
Yeah.
So moving on to Canyon, so Canyon Speedmax, which can be used by the Danish and American team, it's quite a lot of money.
It is more than the base frame set price of the Look, but this is potentially the best value Olympic track bike I think you can get on account of the fact it's available to buy as a complete bike.
Which is mad. Do you know how much it costs?
Well, yeah, I do, yeah.
I know as well. £18,499.
Available on Canyon's website right now.
Which is pretty cool that you can just go on and buy an Olympic track bike.
The complete bike
there,
with wheels, tyres, chain set, everything, yeah. It's still a lot of money though, isn't it? It does look amazing though, that Canyon Speedmax. And well, it's clearly a good level as well in terms of how it ranks across the other equipment because, well, the Danes are using it and they used it actually to win the World Championships, Team Pursuit men's, using that bike. So, yeah, interesting how it goes.
Still pretty rapid, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we have to factor that into the value consideration as well, I feel.
Yeah, you know, price versus speed.
Yeah. Next up, we have the Malaysian Federation. So they have their sprinter Awang, who's a bit of a carrying specialist. He's won silver and bronze in the carrying in previous Olympics. And they have their Vorteq Worx bike, which is made, designed by the engineers at the Sports Engineering Hub in Silverstone. Now, this was used back in
for
Tokyo. Yeah, so it's been around a while now, this one. And it's interesting because it has a different sort of design philosophy to a lot of the bikes we're seeing now with the wider fork legs. This one was all about being sort of narrow and has a much narrower sort of axle width as well on the front wheels. It has special wheels. It's available to buy.
Yeah, so this is more expensive than the two we've already mentioned.
But it's more expensive. You can buy it as a full bike, a bit like the Canyon, although I'm not sure if it comes with tyres. And it's what's the price? I've looked it up here. I think
it's about 25 grand.
It's in the ballpark, yeah, 25 grand. So quite more. I mean, you're buying a serious car for that money.
That is a serious car, isn't it?
Yeah. But a bit more expensive than that, the Germans.
Yeah, moving on to the Germans, so they use FES Bikes, which is kind of made from their national federation. They have a website where you can buy all the bikes and frame sets if you so wish. We are going up in price though, so they come at a costly penny, 28,400
euros.
Euros.
Yeah, that is just for like the frame set. as well. So again, you're going to have to buy your own wheels and chain set and bits and pieces on there.
If you want gold medal winning tech as well.
They do have different frame sets as well, but they're all priced the same. So they've got like a Pursuiter frame set, Sprinter frame set. And for Paris, they have got a new fork as well that has like a serrated, wavy bit on the trailing edge, similar to what we're seeing on both the Hope Lotus and also the Pinarello Bolide. More on that in a minute.
Right then, moving on and up the scale and onto the British, who have kind of been using the Lotus bike now for a while.
Yeah, Hope Lotus.
Hope Lotus. It's kind of, I think this bike's quite synonymous with really expensive track bikes. I think when you do think of this topic, you do think of the Hope Lotus.
Yeah, it's been around a while now, but this latest version has been tweaked for Paris. It's been further modified. So it's got a new seat post design, which splits open and has a big hole in, a bit like the back of the new Trek bikes that you've seen, like the new Trek Madone.
I think it looks as if you're on like a balance bike. It's like it makes it look like a kid's balance bike, like a wooden balance bike.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's a lot faster.
It is a strange looking bike. It's still got the very wide forks, and the forks extend up into the handlebars now as well.
Yeah.
And the forks now have this sort of serration on the trailing edge as well, like what we've seen originally on the Pinarello Bolide HR that Ganna used for the hour record. It's an intriguing looking thing, and the pricing is not actually listed on Hope's website. You have to inquire and get a quote about the pricing, although it is technically for sale. It's not as easy as the Canyon process where you can just sort of one click buy it now. It's a bit more involved. But the frame sets I've heard are around £25,000. But I have heard people who've told me they've looked into buying them. They seem to reckon that if you're getting a complete bike with the 3D printed bars and cockpits and things, you're in the realms of £50,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
We're getting pretty crazy now.
Yeah, that's a serious car.
I wonder if anyone has ever inquired. Like, if I sent them a message, like, I want this bike in a double XL size.
Double XL. I don't think they do it in double XL.
Just double the price, double the car, but
yeah,
that wouldn't fit on the 3D printing machine.
Yeah. Well, talking of 3D printing, Italy next. So the Italians won gold in Tokyo in the team pursuit aboard Pinarellos, and now they've got the Pinarello Bolide HR, the hour record Pinarello that Ganna used now and Bigham to set our records. This bike is different from pretty much every other bike on the list in that it is not made from carbon fibre. It's made from 3D printed scalmalloy. So it's quite a heavy bike compared to the others, and it's 3D printed metal essentially. But what that allows them to do is to tune the exact shape for each rider, and also tune those serrations, that sort of nodules that are on the seat tube to the exact frequency of the size of the bike and the rider. It's quite fascinating, really, the aero tech that's gone into that one, but that's reflected in the price.
Yeah, so what are we looking at for one of these?
Right, so
everything you've said there sounds like
frame set and cockpit. Again, frame set and cockpit.
Okay.
So you're going to have to buy your own wheels and chain set. $49,180 and... No, not dollars. €49,180 and 33 cents. I don't understand why they didn't just make it 50 grand. I don't understand. I don't understand the pricing there. Like, why has it got 33 euros on the end? 33 cents.
Either way.
What is that about?
We need a ka-ching sound effect there, Pete, please.
I mean, I'm sure it's incredibly fast, but the thing is, right, is like, I mean, people are thinking like, wow, I wrote to €50,000 just for the frame set, right? There's even more expensive ones than this. So what's next?
Okay, so moving on to the Australians, and they are using Factor. But before we talk about this bike, we actually did a bit of Googling. So we think that price for the Italians was because it was tax-free. So it was actually more expensive if you're going to pay tax on it.
That's why it's a weird number.
Yeah, that's why it's a weird number.
Every
It's
day's
had
a
little
school day.
strange percentage taken off it. But I don't think the athletes would have been taxed by the government, would they, on the bikes they're using?
I've no idea.
Surely the government are paying for the
What
bike.
goes on in Italy stays in Italy.
I mean, we're not going to get involved. We're not going to get involved.
But yeah, I'd say,
if you're buying the bike, you're going to have to pay tax on it. So
Yeah.
it's going to be more expensive.
the Australian Federation, right? So they used Argon 18 for quite a while. And in the last Olympic cycle, there was that famous handlebar break as well, if you remember that. But they've moved on to Factor, as Connor was saying. And the Factor have a new track bike, which we featured in the tech show almost a year ago now. And it has a price tag of, you can buy it on Factor's website, $60,000 US, 100,000 Australian dollars, apparently,
That's
for them, because they're buying it.
Is it actually just on the website? I'm going to go and have a look.
It is it's very hard to buy. We tried to buy it. You have to sort of ring them up and they didn't answer the phone. But, I mean, it looks pretty smart.
It does look really nice. I remember you guys talking about it and thinking that is a nice looking bike.
Well, there you go. But the crazy, and that is the full bike, chain set and wheels and stuff. But, I mean, you'd hope so at that price. But that isn't the most expensive bike on our list, right?
Okay. Top spot.
The number one, the most expensive bike we've found is the Japanese track bike for Paris. It's called, get this, the V-Izu TCM-2. I mean, it sounds like one of Elon Musk's children.
Yes. It's original.
And it's £101,000.
House. Track bike.
Literally buy a house. What do you make of that?
It's a pretty wild bike, isn't it? Why do they have the drive side on the left?
Yeah, so that's one of the key features of this bike. It has the chain set on the left-hand side. All of the bikes have it on the right. That is because they believe that is more aerodynamic when riding around a track anti-clockwise, which is the direction that riders go in. The thing is with that, right, is that they've obviously gone to great expense to build this bike with the chain set on the other side. I happen to know that years ago, Dan Bigham was interested in answering that question. Is it faster to have a chain set on the other side? Because Felt did it on their track bike years ago that the USA used. And so rather than go to the huge expense of building a bike with a chain set on the other side to test this, he simply rode around a velodrome in the opposite direction. Quite a clever way to test it. And in doing so, found there was no difference and couldn't actually find a measurable difference there. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's why, I think other bike brands have tested that and done that, and that's why they haven't gone down that route. So interesting that the Japanese have. Other interesting thing with this bike is it's made by Toray, who you may be familiar with because they are a huge Japanese multinational company that make carbon fibre. They're like the kind of top carbon fibre company in the world, and a lot of top bikes use Toray carbon fibre, like Pinarello, Canyon use it as well, and a whole load of other applications outside of cycling. But Toray are kind of like the premier carbon fibre brand. So they've actually then made a bike themselves, and they're just charging the earth for it.
Wow.
But the other intriguing thing is the forks on it are very similar to the Hope Lotus, and there was some musings that Hope weren't too happy about that from an intellectual property standpoint. So I'm not sure what's come of that, but they still seem to be using it.
I mean, all these bikes, they cost the earth. They're absolutely insanely expensive. But surely the actual price of these, it's not 100 grand.
Well, the thing is, as well, is like people watching this. When we talk about the price of bikes, and every year there's a new 10 grand bike or a 15 grand super bike, and people get quite annoyed at the price of these things because they feel that they are overpriced. What I don't want is people to get annoyed at the price of these, watching this and getting angry in the comments, because they're not trying to rip you off, because they're not trying to sell you this bike. The reason why they're putting the prices at this extortionate level is because they don't want you to buy it. No. It is putting it out of reach. It's making it prohibitively expensive. Because
is there not a rule though that the price has to be kind of in keeping, or at least a sensible price? Surely you can't make a rule where it's like, you have to make this commercially available, but you can't make it £1 million.
So within the UCI regulations, it has to be commercially available. And that's why we see these bikes commercially available, although some brands are being better with that rule than others and making them more commercially available.
Yeah.
But there's also a rule about the pricing, and it has to be what is deemed a sort of a fair market price. But the wording of that UCI rule is a bit open to interpretation, and there's almost like a loophole there. Because for a brand like Toray, never made a bike before, carbon fibre specialists, they can kind of charge what they want because they can justify that to the UCI and go, yeah, but we're doing something that no one else has done before. This is new technology that's going into this. It's new tooling. It costs us, these are our overheads, so therefore this is what this is going to cost us to make 5 bikes. You know what I mean? So they can sort of get around that. And I think
it's easy to see, isn't it?
Yeah, and in the case of the Pinarello, that's cutting-edge 3D printing technology that no one else is using. But again, that's not a mass-market product. Pinarello are not like intending to sell those to the public. It's almost like they're making prototypes, really. Like, you know, it's stuff that they hope, I guess, will trickle down, innovation that will trickle down into the products they want to sell eventually.
I'd love to know if there's been any kind of Olympic spies that have tried to kind of buy other teams' bikes.
Well, they do. But that's why they make them prohibitively expensive, because they don't want the other federations to buy them and test them to find out if theirs are faster and then potentially use that. If it was faster, you'd go, right, well, we'll just buy 5 of them and use those.
Yeah.
Which is good from a fairness point of view. But then also it's that thing of, well, it is just pricing out poorer nations. You know, you look at someone like Biniam Girmay, so talented, like phenomenal athlete. But the Eritrean Federation is unlikely to have the budget to buy 50,000, pound bikes.
Yeah.
You know, it's so expensive. Think what else that could be spent on in terms of them funding other athletes in other sports. So there's that argument.
It's a hard balance, isn't it? I mean, do you want the real kind of innovation and to see these bikes on the biggest stage possible, or do you want kind of everyone to be on a standard bike and it be more about the athlete? It's that age-old question.
It is, yeah. It always comes around. But, I mean, the innovation is fascinating. We can't wait to see these bikes in action because the bike does make a difference. This is the Formula One of cycling. It really is.
It's a lot of stake.
And so, it'd be fantastic to see what happens in the velodrome.
Yeah.
But yeah, let us know your comments and thoughts down below. Time now for Hot Tech.
Hot tech.
Time now for Hot Tech.
Yep, and staying with the Paris Olympics just for now, because there is a new bike from Pinarello. Now we're talking TT bikes here, so moving away from track bikes.
Yeah, this one has gears and brakes.
Yeah, and the drivetrain side's on the right. But this is pretty banging. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
The new Bolide.
Yeah, so it's the Bolide F, and is, apparently an improvement on the previous Bolide. It looks incredible. According to Pinarello, it has a 2.28% reduction in CDA, the drag coefficient, compared to the previous model. And that's because it has a number of new features to help that. So it has been designed in conjunction with the University of Adelaide and their engineering expertise. And so it has those nodules on the seat tube, like what we were just talking about with the Bolide HR track bike. But our understanding is that this one is made from carbon fibre and isn't 3D printed out of Skalmalloy.
There's a lot of nodules going on at the moment, isn't there? It's like nodules are in vogue.
Yeah.
But these innovations, they do take advantage of the fact that the 3-to-1 rule has been relaxed by the UCI on these bikes. So now you're seeing bikes going to kind of like 6-to-1, 8-to-1 in terms of ratios of how you design the frame and how thick and wide it can be.
Yeah.
And it seems that like 6-to-1 is kind of like seems to be maybe the optimal.
Well, they're saying that from their research that tube profile cross sections of 6:1 and 8:1 are far superior to 3:1, which is what the constraints of the old UCI rules allowed you for in tube cross sections.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see them taking advantage of that. It's also got a new reinforced bottom bracket and chainstay, and apparently it can take 32 millimeter tyres now.
It's interesting.
On a TT bike.
Yeah.
That is interesting, isn't it?
I mean, if that doesn't say, like, wider tyres are faster...
You're thinking gravel bike packing adventure.
Although I'm just also envisaging, like, 32mm tyres and how small the clearance is going to be, I imagine. And I just remember, like, stones whipping up and getting in the frame. And that
yeah.
So I don't think I'd take it on gravel.
Yeah. The other interesting design aspects of it are that, like we were just talking with the track bikes, these two competing areas of thought. Do you go like the wider stance, like the Hope, Lotus, or narrower? Pinarello thinks narrower. And they said that they've done over 2,000 computational fluid dynamics tests and found that the narrowest forks possible and narrowest seat stays are fastest in multiple yaw angle situations. There's a lot more wind and yaw outside than in just in the track. And they also say it helps keep the overall weight of the bike down as well, which is still important. TT bikes have to go up hills.
Yeah. I think as well, like, I'm just forgetting the science, but I think narrow bikes look nicer.
Yeah.
I think that's like a knife edge look.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It is. It's like a blade just cutting through the air.
It's so sick.
Yeah, I think they look better as well. It also has another little feature come from the Hour Record bike, which is a little slot in the front of the fork, just designed to neatly house the transponder as well, to keep that out of the wind, rather than doing the old tactic we see where they put it on the fork and it's sticking out and they put a bit of old latex inner tube around it to like hold it on. I think that's a pretty cool little design feature.
I mean, you've got to think of these things. I mean, it made me laugh, like, back in Unbound. We're going back a bit now, but we have, like, super aerodynamically optimised gravel bikes and then, like, a massive number plate on the front.
I know,
So it's like, in the real world, when you go to competition, this is what you have to think about.
So this bike is going to be ridden, presumably, by Filippo Ganna and also Josh Tarling, who are both, well, they're amongst the favourites for the time trial in Paris. So
high chance this bike is going to get a gold medal.
Yeah. Moving on now, the Transcontinental has also kicked off.
It has. I've been eagerly watching the dots as they move across Europe. I love it.
So for those who aren't familiar, it's kind of like the Tour de France, but for ultra endurance racers, and amateurs can take part. And it starts in Northern Europe, usually in Gerardsbergen. This year started in Paris.
Started in Roubaix.
Oh, Roubaix, sorry, yeah. Paris-Roubaix, that's why I didn't say. And they're heading to Istanbul, down in Turkey, and it's completely self-supported.
Long old way, about 4,000 kilometres.
But there's some really cool tech.
There is some cool tech, because you have to think about so many things when you're taking on an event like this. So long, of course. There's some mandatory parcours thrown in. So there's a bit of gravel, actually, and some like pretty wild-looking mountain ranges in the likes of Slovenia. I think there's one in Bosnia as well, as you cross to Turkey, going kind of east to Istanbul. It seems like the gravel bike is the bike of choice for this like real ultra endurance effort.
Robust.
Well, yeah, it's robust, it's solid. You know, when you're fitting your bags to it, it can take it. You can still, it handles pretty well. Tyres seem like, I've been looking through all the bikes. So Dotwatch actually had a great article kind of analysing different bikes that are being used on the start line. Seems to me that kind of 32, 35 mil width is like, that's what people have gone for.
Yeah.
Few people have gone narrower.
Really?
I think that's brave.
Yeah.
That is brave. I'd just go as wide as possible.
What actual tyres were people using?
So I saw a lot of Continentals.
Like GP5000?
Yeah, GP5000s. Just going as wide as you can. And that's like, the gravel bike affords you that clearance as well to go wide. Because like if you're on a pretty standard road bike, you're going to come up short, aren't you?
I mean, you'd definitely put new tyres on, wouldn't you? On the start line.
It's so long, you might have to take a spare tyre with you.
Well, you might have to stop in a bike shop and buy some new ones.
Yeah, most people went tubeless as well.
I would definitely go tubeless.
Yeah.
Because you can always put a tube in.
That's true, yeah.
I was looking at Josh Ibbott's bike setup, and he went for like slower rolling tyres. Hutchinson's, but so they're not a fast tyre, like chucking away a load of watts there, but we're really like, you know, like the kind of tyres that you like to use.
Well, exactly.
Basically, really, really like bulletproof tyres.
This is what I'm saying. I go for bulletproof tyres because I do not want to be victim of a puncture in the middle of nowhere when I'm filming. But in a race like Transcontinental, it's the same thing. Like, you don't want to waste time fixing punctures.
I know, but it's hard, isn't it? Because it's like such a long race. You're like, I'm just thinking, oh my God, like I'm chucking away like 15 watts on tyres over the course of like thousands and thousands of kilometres. That is like loads.
Yeah, but it's not as fast. So like you're not doing 40k, 50k an hour. So I think the difference is going to be less pronounced. You're talking like 25, 28k an hour average speeds.
Yeah, I don't know. It adds up a lot though. Yeah. I don't know. It's a difficult one, but it's fascinating. And also, you don't see many aero bikes because everyone's festooning luggage all over their bikes. And also you want a round handlebar so that you can fit tri-bars on. It's much easier to fit tri-bars on because pretty much everyone's running tri-bars, which I can appreciate now, having done some ultra stuff. Yeah. Being able to rest your hands and your wrists
does help. I've always been against it, but I must admit, it does help a lot.
Yeah,
I think that I spotted a Canyon Grail, which to me looked like almost a perfect bike.
Yeah,
so then with the integrated TT bars, get the luggage all nicely placed around the bike, some smart methods, and the tyre clearance as well. I think I spotted one which had about 16 kilos as total weight, bags attached, not including food and water. So
is that good?
That's good, I think.
Yeah.
For an event that long, to be able to take all your stuff, bike and everything included, like you're not giving yourself much there. It's like what, 7 or 8 kilos of stuff.
It is nuts. Like some people take some. I mean, when you look at all the different bikes that people use and the stuff on Dot Watcher, you can check out. Some people look like they're packing incredibly minimalist compared to others that seem to.
Yeah. Well, that's what I love about it.
Carry loads.
It's all about the strategy. You can carry loads and have everything you need, but then you've got to carry more. You go super minimalist to be super fast, but then if something does go wrong or you're like a bit caught out, it can be a bit of a disaster.
Yeah. It's fascinating. Well, I mean, the dot watching is strangely addictive. I thoroughly recommend you check it out on dotwatch.com.
Yeah.
And just watching these dots moving on. I mean, it's really, yeah.
Everyone chooses their own route as well between the checkpoints. So it's like who's going where and seeing everyone split through Europe.
Yeah. At the time of recording as well, Christoph Strasser in the lead, last year's winner,
covering insane distance already.
Yeah,
1,000k in 24 hours.
And moving on, the Tour de France is over. The big French bike ride. But there's still some cool tech that I think we should talk about from there. Most notably, Cav's shoes.
Yeah, I mean, these were pretty insane. So this was a collaboration with Damien Hirst. I think he's kind of like the richest artist in the world.
Even more than Banksy.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's the richest artist in the world. Some really famous pieces, mainly animals in formaldehyde.
Yeah, sharks.
I think he's got big animals, but also I think he had butterflies, I believe.
Yeah, that's a big feature prominently in his work.
Yeah, so he's collaborated with some shoes. Cavendish was wearing at the Tour some Nikes, which you can't buy. They're just like one-off Nikes.
Well, no, I've mentioned this before. People have asked about this in the comments. They are made by DMT.
Yeah.
So I've been to the DMT factory years ago and seen them making them. Adam Bolide used to have them as well.
He did,
remember, yeah. But they're not actually technically sort of for sale. You have to be special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which just makes it even cooler, right? Unfortunately. But Cav was rocking this kind of like custom butterfly painted ones from Damien Hirst. He did say that he only wore them, I think, to the sign-on.
Yeah?
Or just in the neutral. Yeah, because he was seen changing into his normal ones.
Yeah, get them on eBay later.
But apparently he was scared of scuffing them up, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
I'd be scared. Imagine having those at your feet and then someone just like puts their wheel into them and scuffs off a butterfly.
Or you've got to walk through some gravel to get to the sign-on.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Away from the Tour now, and Ribble have a new all-road bike, which they're calling the all-road. Which is a really cool bike, this though, because I really like this trend for all-road bikes. I think it's a good thing to go for because it gives you such a well-rounded bike. So this has capacity for 38mm wide tyres, got internal storage. It's also no slouch, so it's aero optimized.
Is that like in the down tube?
Yeah. So inside the frame, some proper internal storage. Perfect for something like the Transcontinental, actually.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
There's many different options as you can, either on bags on the outside or getting some stuff inside. Takes aero kind of tech from their Ultra aero bike, so still go pretty fast. It's Got more endurance geometry too, so nice and comfy for those longer rides. Entry level comes in at £1,700. The top spec, full legit versions, 8,300. Some kind of improved carbon fibre tech on there.
There's an e-bike one.
An e-bike too, so that comes in at around £4,000, I believe. Custom colours as well. I mean, nice looking bike.
Pretty cool bike.
Yeah.
I've not ridden one of these like all road bikes yet, but I'm quite intrigued to do so. I think it's just an all round do it all bike. If you just had a one bike garage,
I love that. I mean, it's a very slight difference, I think, from your out and out road bike. But I think for me, it just feels like it's a much more solid bike to ride.
And you're just not bothered, and you're not bothered about racing. It's like
and also, unless you live somewhere like Mallorca where it's perfect tarmac, like around here, the roads, when you go on the back roads, it's almost like you're on gravel. You want some wider rubber beneath you, and a more solid bike, to be honest. And I think it's a good call.
Nice. Well, more hot tech next week. Time now for comments of the week. First up, we've got some comments under the video that Alex did about how the Tour de France is filmed. Really cool video. And a lot of people really enjoyed it, which is great to see. So the first comment is from Cog2803, who says, "It's fascinating. I've been in broadcasting my entire career. And while I enjoy the race, I'm also enthralled by the production itself. The two shots of the stadiums mentioned at the beginning of the football and baseball stadiums in Chattanooga, Tennessee, are where I live. So I was surprised to see them used as examples in this video. I would love to hear more about the camera operators on the motorcycles. I ride motorbikes, and I'm always blown away by the shots they deliver from the back of an accelerating, braking, bobbing around, weaving motorcycle. These folks are talented."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they really are. But we're lucky enough to work actually with some of the motorcycle pilots when we create some of the videos we do here on the channel. So skilled at riding bikes. I mean, it's a hard job.
Yeah, it's not just like, I've seen it before where you really do appreciate a good motorcycle rider from like just an average one, I guess. And a lot of the guys, the guys that we film with, a lot of them are actually ex-police. So they are trained at like high speed pursuit police riding, and you can it's like with a good bike handler on a bike, on a road bike, like the way in which they go around corners and stuff, and the speed and the control, and it's just next level, the kind of like hazard perception and everything. Like they're really good. Really, really skillful. And it's like a heavy bit of kit, those bikes. Yeah. To throw around in a race setting with someone on the back. Yeah. So I actually remember I think it was Dwarsdorf Vlaanderen, something happened, or a race like that, something happened, and we all had to stop, and the motorcycles got trapped in the bunch, and then the race set off, and it's like motorbikes everywhere, but it all stayed safe, and the amount of skill they've got to use to get out of those situations. Yeah. Kid Fury 27 says, "We need more on-board footage. That's always the best and most exciting. I know it's difficult for live TV, but I also know it can be worked out. In my opinion, it's the best way to see the most exciting parts of the race." As someone who, has been in those bunches in big bike races, what's your feeling on that? Yeah, I think we should definitely get more on-board footage. It definitely brings the race to life. I just think what you'd have to do is persuade everyone to use it. Well, they did that on Formula One. Yeah, everyone has onboard cameras now, so there's no penalty. Well, that's it. It just needs to be every bike. Yeah, which I can see being quite a challenge to persuade everyone to do. But it can be done. Make it a rule, don't you? And cameras are getting so small these days. They're getting so small. Everyone in the Tour de France had to have that big dongle transponder on the back of the seat post. So it's like, well, it could be done, I guess. Like you could easily get one on the rear, couldn't you? Easily. I think the front would be quite hard. Yeah. But yeah, it just brings the race to life. Like I'm loving seeing these drone shots now in races. That's cool, isn't it? At certain moments. Like there was an amazing one from that last TT. Yeah, coming off Ayres. Down Ayres, like bagging descent. I used to love that descent. Well, I think they had the first drone. It was coming in where it was out of La Turbie. Yeah. There on that bit of road, and it was like, it just brings it to life more, and you get a different angle you just don't see from the helicopter or the TV shots. Yeah. So we've got some comments on the secret Orbeyas used at the Tour de France, including it's the OLAB Orbeyas that was used by Victor Campenaerts to win a stage. Yeah. You can tell because it's got the yellow seat post on there.
Such a cool win. I loved this interview.
Yeah, it was great.
Brilliant
And
interview.
Nerdhoy commented, going, watching this after Campanarts just won a stage yesterday is something special. And yeah, like absolutely, yeah, it's like, like that was really cool because he's in that video. So if you've not seen it, go check it out. But he actually comes up. I was talking about his bike that he used to win that stage, and this was before he'd won it. And he comes up and he starts like telling me about his bike and stuff. And he does this weird thing with his bar tape, which someone has commented, going, Ollie will be the first person to copy that as soon as he gets home. That's from Thomas Nutter. I haven't copied that.
No, you will on the next opportunity.
And then last week's show.
There was a lot of comments under this.
Yeah.
There were lots of comments. Let's dive into a few of them. So starting off with Socko Power. There's a much easier solution to all this.
This was on motor doping.
Yeah, on motor doping. I thought this was a great suggestion. So make power recording and sharing UCI compulsory in races. Power at the crank can't be cheated by a motor, and the discrepancy between power and speed can be flagged very easily if they were sampling the whole of the peloton. What's your take on that?
I would like to see it, yeah. I think like...
mandatory power sharing.
Well,
The problem is, I think there's also an element of... There's the reliability question of power meters and the argument where you became like, it wasn't reading right.
Yeah.
And you could just use that as a blanket excuse.
Yeah, there's always a loophole, isn't there? And you can adjust power meters so that they underread or overread. So, if you can go into the software.
It kind of almost pushes the problem somewhere else.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to see power data being made public. I would love to see the transparency across athletes showing what they can do. Because, I just think then that's, you think that what have you got to hide? Like, are you worried that the number's too big and therefore it's a red flag? Like, I don't know. I'd like to see it.
I don't think we will see it. I think there'll be too much pushback. I reckon people just stop using power meters.
Stop using them?
I think so, yeah. I think you just use it in training and just wouldn't have the data in a race.
Yeah, maybe. Smith and Short Dogs says that love that Dr. Bridgewood is flexing his GCSE level French and getting googly eyes from his co-workers, regardless of gender. Chapeau, monsieur, or monsieur. Tu es vraiment magnifique.
Magnifique.
Yeah. Je pense que tu peux parler le français aussi.
Oui, je parle un peu de français. Un peu. J'habite en Nice pour 3 années.
3 years, nice. Yeah. Dans la porte.
Oui. J'adore le pain et le café. I basically just got good at ordering coffees and croissants.
Most important stuff. Right. And that is all we've got time for on the comments this week. On to...
the bike vault.
Yes, where you get to submit pictures of your bikes, and we judge them to be either nice or super nice. As ever, you can submit your bikes down in the... what am I even saying? My brain has gone. Right, hang on. As ever, you can submit your bikes by clicking a link in the description below, and that'll take you to the uploader. Just bang your bike in there, put in the details about it, and, if you're lucky...
It might make its way to the bike vault.
So, first up this week, what do we got?
So this is from Matt from the Sunshine Coast. I think he's from the Sunshine Coast. Looks nice as well.
That is nice, isn't it?
Yeah,
What?
Some nice waves in the background, but a nice looking bike as well. This is cool.
It's a Giant, no?
Giant Revolt Advanced, SRAM Rival, 30mm travel front fork, drop a post. It's a perfect can do anything bike.
I like it.
Super nice from me. I love it.
I really like that. I mean, it's not presented in the best way though.
A lot of shadows going on.
Yeah, but also like the cranks aren't nicely aligned, the wheels aren't nicely aligned. I don't mind the Apogura bags on there though, because they look really smart.
They do look really smart.
They're really
banging bags, Apogura bags.
Designed for a bike like that, so that's good. But yeah, I think just a nice.
But if Ollie wasn't here, I'd give it a super nice.
all right. Next up, we have got a Van Nicholas titanium bike.
Yeah. Old geezer on a bike sent this one in, seeing as Alex loves titanium bikes. How about a big like for my 13-year-old Van Nicholas, still my comfiest ride. A joy to ride, but also only goes out in sunny, dry weather. I have other bikes to cope with the UK weather. So original Shimano Ultegra triple crankset. I do apologise for the raised bar stem.
Yep.
My 77-year-old back does not bend like it used to.
Well, that's fair enough.
Oh,
We
yeah.
can excuse a Viagra stem on that basis.
I'm going for it now and I'm only 32. So it's no shame at all.
Your back has a lot of heavy lifting to do on a daily basis, though.
It's a lot of heavy lifting. It's also low door frames that get me. I'm
frames.
always ducking. You wouldn't believe it. Imagine you have to walk for a door frame that's this high all the time.
Oh, yeah. It's
absolute-
like Gandalf in The Hobbit. That's fantastic. I think, that is
nice.
I love that it's a bike that is just durable, stands the test of time, and, 77 and still out there and at it. I find that inspirational.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
I mean, I hope that when I'm 77, I'm still doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Super nice. Clean.
Right.
It's clean.
It
as
is.
well.
It's definitely. Let's ring the. Nearly forgot to ring the bell. There we go. Thanks for sending it in. I'll get you on a bike.
Bianchi 928 next, 2005 bike. It's got a mixture of Campagnolo Centaur, and Record on there. FSA carbon cranks and light bicycle carbon wheels. This is from Sam Logan, 54.
I like this a lot. Rim brakes, external cabling. It's got everything's pretty aligned on it.
I like it as well.
It's nice. Nice colourway going on.
I like that as well. Yeah.
It's just your bike that does what it says on the tin.
I like that brick.
And it
I
looks
like
good.
that brickwork. It's a bit rustic. I like it. It's nice, very clean cassette. Look at that. You could eat your dinner off that.
I like the colour. How it goes from black to gold.
Oh yeah, I don't see many in this colourway. That's a super nice for me. That one.
Right. We're ringing it in. Super nice. Panky 298. Right, moving on to this one sent in from Pete A. I've just started doing some gravel riding in Yorkshire. Absolutely terrible at navigating. Ended up riding through a field of beef.
A field of beef. That's one way to describe it. I mean, that does describe it. It's just like slaughtered animals rather than like actual living cows. But there you go. Bit of a jaunty angle going on here.
A bit of a jaunty angle. I see the cows in the background actually. Now I've zoomed in, so it is a field of cows.
As opposed to packets of mincemeat just strewn.
I'm not actually sure what bike this is because Pete hasn't said, and it looks like it's got a bit of a custom colour going on because there's no branding.
Yeah.
I'm trying to kind of make a good judgment on what it is.
Yeah.
At first, I thought it might be a grizzle, but I don't think
It's
it is.
got like that chains. The seat stay area looks like a canyon.
It does.
But
I don't think it is,
Not
though.
entirely sure.
Nice looking bike, though. Big
Yeah.
old volume tyres on, too, which you're going
Yeah.
to need when you're getting chased by those cows in a second.
I think we can super nice that, mate.
Yeah, super
we
nice.
can,
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I like a one colour on the frame set as well.
Next up, we've got a Pinarello Dogma 65.1 Think 2 for a Tour de France edition. So this is it's the Wiggins bike, isn't it?
Yeah, going back a bit now, 2012.
Yeah, I mean, these things look so antiquated now compared to the current model. It does blow my mind a bit.
It is, isn't it?
Very cool looking bike though. I'm loving the Eastern wheels on there as well.
I mean, this is a replica. It's not the bike.
It's not Wiggins's bike, no.
I was for a second I was wondering if it was.
They did sell it as a replica. So,
Yeah, it was the one he rode on the very last stage of the tour. So
Yeah.
when he was kind of riding into Paris in yellow. So it's got Campag.
Well, also the fact that it's a size 54. Wiggins was riding a much bigger size.
Oh yeah, there we go. Sherlock's got there before me. Nice looking bike though. I mean, it looks like a professionally taken photo. This.
I like it. Yeah, it's good.
If this doesn't get into the bike vault,
That's a super nice.
yeah, so
every day of the week.
Straight up, super nice.
Every day of the week. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Right.
There we go.
One more.
One more. We got another one.
Christoph, and it is a Scott CR1, which has been custom painted and it's from 2007, this bike, and he's thought about replacing it, but he still absolutely loves it.
Well, there you go. Beautiful looking bike. It's been like a rim brake special this week.
It has, yeah.
Aside from the 2 gravel bikes, it's been rim brake special.
I would have removed the little light on the seat post just to make it a bit neater. I'll forgive the bottle, and yeah, I think. Do you know what? I really like that bike. I like the way the crank is aligned with the seat pin. That's the seat post. That's okay. I'm a big fan of the Mavic Cerium SL wheels.
I was about to say, yeah,
with those big, thick white spokes and the white hubs. They were like, I remember, like back in that sort of era. I remember like one of the guys I rode with had those. And I was like, oh, they're such nice wheels. I really wanted those wheels. I couldn't afford them.
They look good when they're spinning as well.
Oh,
so there you go. Red Scott into the bike vault.
Mega.
Well, thank you for all your uploads. And don't forget to click on the link below, get your bikes over to us, and we'll decide if it's going to be a nice or a
that one, people are going to crucify us because it was in smally Vigs. We've let that one slip in.
It's going in. It's going in no matter what.
It's a cool bike.
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks so much for watching, though.
Yeah, hope you've enjoyed the show. Thanks for stepping in, Connor.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me.
With your nice new haircut.
Yeah,
looking fresh.
So I smarted myself up.
Yeah, right. Love you. Bye.